right, so I had an experience yesterday of going back and reviewing the last daily Facebook Lives that I've done. So over the last 7 days, there was 7 Facebook Lives, and 5 of them were done on my laptop, 2 were done on the phone, and I go back to the laptop ones and discover that the audio and the video are completely out of sync. Like a good 2 seconds, it's quite obvious. Versus on the phone one, it's all good. It appears that the phone doesn't suffer from this same problem that the laptop does. Now go and check out the Facebook help, which you'd probably do. And man, the Facebook help on this stuff is not overly impressive. I gotta say, they're like, we don't know, and you sort it out. Try clearing the cache for your browser. Try resetting your phone, resetting the computer. Like, didn't seem like they were overly interested. So I'm faced with that problem. Like, okay, what am I going to do? And the implications of getting this problem solved are quite strong for me. Now, the actual video itself is part of a downstream experience that these videos get turned into other marketing materials. This is an idea that is in Traffic Secrets by Russell Brunson. It's by Joey out of Grit Marketer. There's various other ideas. Garrett J. White has passed this on. He's like, look, just do the one video and extract out the image, extract out the text, extract out whatever. Go repost it. You guys will be familiar, hopefully, with this type of idea. But if the original video is no good, okay, there goes a bunch of ideas. Yes, I can take the audio and put it onto Anchor FM. And yes, I can take the audio and get it transcribed and pull out the quote cards. But in terms of posting a video with that degree of mismatch between the audio and the video, it's just not going to work. So none of the video assets that can be extracted out of a Facebook video like this one, none of them can be used. So it's like, okay, this isn't going to work. So first up change, now we're on phone. This is a phone, not going to use the laptop anymore. Laptop can stay over there, and I'm just not interested in trying to fix that because it could be fixed with a cache problem, but if there is no clear idea about why this is happening or what to do about it, then to me it's like, you know what? It's much safer to go to a system that works called Use the Phone instead of trying to risk fixing a thing that's busted. But what is more interesting to me is that it's like, okay, so how do I make sure that this happens as an ongoing thing? Now, it only seems like a pretty small change and a pretty obvious change. From now on, use the phone, not the laptop. But the interesting thing for me is like, okay, well, what about when the changes start coming a little bit more complex or a little bit more frequently, or you've got other people involved? Like, how is that change process managed? Because if I have multiple team members and I don't have the capacity to go and check every time that they do a equivalent of a Facebook Live, whatever that task is in the business, and I'm not there to go, use the phone, not the laptop, use the phone, not the laptop, use the I did like. And even if I do that for 3 or 4 days, but it falls away because the habit isn't established, there's got to be a better way of actually making sure that this happens. Now, people have tried this. This is definitely a well-known idea. You have come across it, I'm sure. Systemize your business, run the processes, use standard operating procedures. But here's the interesting thing, like humans don't seem to do it very often. Like the number of businesses that are running meticulously on systems and processes, there's less. It's going to be a lot less. Like you've got your big multinationals, McDonald's, you've got your Procter and Gamble's, you've got Pfizer. I guarantee that these big companies are running on systems and processes. Why? Because it ensures consistency of outcome, like whatever the actual process is, whether it is to sell a McDonald's franchise or produce a burger, the outcome's going to be the same if the system gets followed. But as you come down into smaller businesses, then there's too much to do, and that effort of actually going in and creating the systems doesn't get done, particularly when they don't actually get used. Like you're literally wasting your time if your team and yourself do not use the processes that you created. Like if you have a standard operating procedure and it's not getting used, what's going on? Like, why not? That is a critical assessment that you have to make. I'll give you an analogy. Like it's kind of like doing Lego. Like I get that there's two types of Lego. One, there's this free play where you have all the pieces and you kind of make up stuff yourself. Not talking about that. What I am talking about is you buy the set and then you build the model. Now, the interesting thing about Lego is that there's hundreds of ways that any particular pieces can go together. Like there's a lot of variations. And if you don't have that instructions, then it is difficult. It is a challenge in order to actually be able to create the outcome, which is the defined finished model, unless you got the instructions. If you got the instructions, it's pretty damn simple. Do step 1, do step 2, do step 3. Like even the most complicated Lego model, you know, like a collector's series of the Millennium Falcon or the Star Destroyer, if you are a Star Wars fan. Like these are big sets, 8,000 pieces. Like good luck trying to put together an 8,000 piece Lego without the instructions. But you got that instructions, guess what? It's just like step 1, step 2, step 300. What's next? Oh, it's going to be 301. What's the next with 302? Like business is the same. Business is the same problem. You're trying to put together a collector's item Lego, but you guys want to do it without the instructions. It's just slow. It causes errors. You have to pull stuff apart and go, okay, now we'll try it this way. And that central problem is, why aren't the instructions being used? Guess what? You're paying your team. They're not that interested. They don't care whether it takes 1 hour or 10 hours to get the job done. And they're not maybe particularly interested in the actual quality of it. It's like, well, you told me to do this. I did it. And you're like, but that's not what I meant. That's not, what the hell is that? You're like, and they're like, I don't know, dude. You told me to do it. I did it. And then you think about it and you're like, but here's this standard operating procedure. Why didn't you use it? That is a good question to ask your people. Why didn't you use the instructions? I get you the instructions. We put a lot of effort into the instructions. This is, of course, assuming that you have the instructions. If you haven't got the instructions, then you may not want to do them because you know that people don't use them. Like, what's the point of investing into that particular asset in your business called the instruction manual if no one's going to use it? So you've got to work this out. You've got to work out how is it that changes that are big get managed and changes that are small get managed so that they ongoingly happen without you as the entrepreneur or you as the business owner coming and checking in all the time. Like, how is it that you could set up your business that the instructions get used? Have a think about this. If you've got ideas on this, if you even recognize that this is an important problem, then hey, type in a comment for, hey, I get it. This is a problem, because guess what? It's affecting everything. It's affecting your marketing. It's affecting your sales, your advertising, your fulfillment. And if you don't have those on point, then like business gets a whole lot harder. And guess what? Your competitor that works out how to do this, they have a significant strategic advantage. If they can deploy twice as much for half the cost, that means that they can invest more on their advertising budgets to buy the customers for more money. They can effectively put you out of business because their effectiveness in their business is across the board. And it comes down to using the instructions. If your team's not reading the instruction manual and not using them, then I would suggest to you that that is a problem that is worthwhile investigating and finding out how to solve it. Because guess what? You solve it, business changes. Business becomes fun. Business becomes a whole different experience. If you want to find out more about this, then click the link in the comments section. Go check it out for a training that I put together for you so you can go, oh my goodness, wow, I can see the problem and I can get the solution. All right, thanks for tuning in. Look forward to seeing you on another Facebook Live from my phone, not my laptop, going forward from here.